Imagine a world where you can be exactly who you are, no matter what, and everyone cheers you on.
No, that's not how life works, though. Like, yes, we've been on a quest for equality for decades, and we've achieved so much in the adult space. But to tell a child or to teach a child, imagine a world where everybody loves you and everybody accepts you and yeses you to death. It isn't going to happen, and you are setting these kids up to fucking fail. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about terms, gender terms, sexuality terms, the mixed up mess that it all is, and trying to make sense of some of this confusing world that we live in that is layered with labels and terminology. And we're going to react to some YouTube videos to try to educate ourselves about all this and what everything means. A lot of it is geared towards like educational stuff for kids, which I find really weird and disturbing, but it's definitely out there and it's insane. But before we get started, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We are almost at the 1,000 subscriber mark. So thank you so much for all the support. I'm really trying to reach people to have more productive conversations surrounding LGBT and other controversial topics. I want everybody to get back to like a normal sense of reality or whatever that means. So we're going to start with this video called 10 Sexualities to Know About. And we're going to react as we go along the way. I'll be stopping the video to have a little bit of discussion. And please put it down in the comments what you think about some of this, because a lot of it to me is very contradictory. It's confusing. It's hypocritical. And it's certainly not something that I think kids need to learn about either. But let's check it out.
Gender and sexuality are two concepts that are incredibly individualized, and so it shouldn't be surprising that they are so complex. It can be hard to navigate the world of sexuality due to the different terms and labels.
Exactly. It's become increasingly difficult to navigate the world because you've decided to put all of these labels on anyone and everything, and especially kids. Like, I mean, like, they tell on themselves right at the beginning of the video. Anyways, I'm sorry.
This video aims to help you navigate this world by arming you with some definitions and examples of 10 different sexualities, some of which you might not even know about.
Probably not.
1. Bisexuality. The definition for bisexuality is actually something that's debated. Originally, the standard definition was attraction to both genders. However, as understanding of gender has evolved, people have argued for an evolved definition of bisexuality. Some use the definition of attraction to your own and other genders to incorporate non-binary genders within its definition. Some famous examples of people who are bisexual are Brandon Urie from the band Panic at the Disco and actress Angelina Jolie.
See how they put celebrities' names in front of this stuff? I mean, obviously it's like for kids, for young people, lost people, people that don't know who the hell they are. And they've overcomplicated the definition of bisexuality because they throw in stuff about non-binary, which is a self-ID term. Like, there is no third, like, sex or third gender. There is nobody that's actually non-binary. You can identify as that. You can walk the world and say that that's what you are, but it's sort of meaningless at its core because there's males and there's females. Like, that's kind of the end of the story. I mean, come on.
2. Homosexuality. This is one of the terms that most people tend to be familiar with. It means attraction to one's own gender and is sometimes referred as gay or lesbian. Famous examples include comedian Alan Carr and presenter Sue Peterson.
I don't care.
3. Heterosexuality.
Notice how they just skated right over that one. It's like, oh yeah, that's homosexuality. And what's funny is I believe that this video was like 6 years old, and ever since then, these organizations like GLAAD are now saying that the word homosexual is some kind of hate speech or something that you shouldn't say. And it's astonishing that they have taken it that far and GLAAD, and now they're almost homophobic and trying to erase homosexuality. But saying queer is perfectly fine. Make it make sense, guys.
Heterosexuality is probably the most well-known sexuality, and whether right or wrong, it is often thought of as the default. This is
Yes, that's because it is the default. because that is the norm. And that's how every single person on the face of the planet got here, was because of heterosexuality. And I want to add to this a little bit because I've seen all of this like hating on straight people stuff. And I'm so sick and tired of hearing that and seeing that and having conversations with people that are the straight normies, the breeders, to the point where it's like, are you kidding me right now? Like, these people demand so much respect, but then they don't respect others and they don't respect the norm. I mean, it is what it is, guys. Like, let's just be realistic here.
Known as heteronormativity. It means attraction to genders other than your own. It's most commonly used to refer to binary genders. 4. Pansexuality. Pansexuality is defined as an attraction to all genders. Some say those who are pansexual don't care about gender when it comes to their attraction, though not all agree with this assessment. Some people also use this sexuality and bisexuality interchangeably. Miley Cyrus is a notable person who is pansexual. 5. Polysexuality. Polysexuality refers to people who are attracted to 2 or more genders. Typically, bisexuality and pansexuality are types of polysexuality, though not all people who are polysexual use these terms. 6. Asexuality. Asexuality is one of the lesser-known sexualities. It refers to someone who doesn't experience sexual attraction to any gender. This doesn't mean, however, that they never have relationships or sex, which are common myths about asexuality.
Wait a minute. I just, first of all, wouldn't asexuality imply that you don't have a sexuality? And secondly, I've always been like kind of suspicious with this term or regarding this term, because it's like, either you're not experiencing a sex drive because there's something going on with you physically, or perhaps there might be something going on with you upstairs emotionally, because most people on the face of the planet do have attraction. They want to have sex at some point with somebody somewhere. So I have a tendency to believe that at least some of these people are identifying into this sexuality or whatever because of other problems that they're having, like trauma, other comorbidities. And that is something that we're seeing a lot in the LGBT community, especially like in the trans space. And I also want to take note here. I don't know if you guys noticed, but when we're going through these slides, each one has a flag associated with it. And, to further the label and to sort of further indoctrinate you into an identity. I just don't think it is appropriate. And I think that it is such a deeply rooted ideology that seems to attempt to indoctrinate people. And, with all these terms and all these labels and all this stuff, like, it's no wonder that kids are completely freaking confused and clueless. I mean, adults look at this stuff and they're going, huh? What? And it's not because we're stupid or we're not as intelligent or we're not open-minded enough. It is literally because it doesn't make sense. And there is a level of not being necessary that is going through the roof with these things. It's, I think, doing more harm than good overall for the community. For you Gen Xers and older millennials out there, do you remember when labels was literally like not a thing, first of all, and it wasn't cool to have labels? We didn't want to be labeled. We were like, don't label me, don't do that. It was so uncool. And now we're giving this buffet of labels out and saying, choose what your identity is. Figure it out. Look what's good for you. And that's why you see all these people with they've made everything an umbrella term. They've made trans an umbrella term. They've even made homosexuality on some level an umbrella term, something that's a preference and not something that's innate or unchangeable. And that is so problematic. And as you can see with these labels here, what they're doing is it revolves around pacifying some of these trans identities or the trans umbrella.
BoJack Horseman, the TV show, explores asexuality through one of the major characters, Todd Chavez.
Okay, if you guys don't know what BoJack Horseman is, it's a cartoon and it's kind of a vulgar one. It's got, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 seasons of it. And BoJack Horseman is a literal horse. It's a cartoon. These references that I'm seeing points to alluring kids, alluring young people or confused people into this space to have this discussion. There's just, it's so unnecessary on so many levels. And I think in some ways it might be a little bit nefarious and evil. I don't know. I'm kind of blown away that they referenced BoJack Horseman. Oh my God. Ugh.
7. Gray asexuality. This is similar to the previous sexuality. However, instead of never experiencing sexual attraction, someone who is gray sexual may very rarely experience sexual attraction. They are still valid under the asexuality umbrella, despite occasionally experiencing sexual attraction. 8. Demisexuality. Demisexuality, again, can technically fall under the asexual umbrella.
You see, again, with this umbrella stuff, like you're diluting real definitions of things by putting them under umbrellas to begin with. And this is what they did to the transsexual community. They made it it was transsexual, and then it developed into transgender, and then it was trans umbrella. And they just are making words be completely fluid and virtually meaningless by putting them under umbrellas upon umbrellas upon umbrellas upon umbrellas. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And this is how people live. They live in this alternate universe that evolves around these terms that are useless, confusing, and weird. And I actually saw a meme one day that said something like, I'm so glad we have labels and labels are good and it helps people. Words to the effect, right? And you should have seen the comment section on it. They were so like, you know, people are like, yes, it's helped me so much. I'm like, but does it though? Does it help you really understand who you are? And not only that, but it's like we spend our whole lives trying to figure out who we are. And I feel like sexuality is, you know, it's different for everybody, sure, but it's actually very basic and it doesn't need to go this deep. I think the people that came up with these terms had a fuck of a lot of time on their hands doing it, and they're all bored. And now we're presenting this to young people and saying, pick your sexuality, pick what you want.
People who are demisexual do experience sexual attraction, but only after an emotional connection is created. They wouldn't find a stranger on the street sexually appealing, but after they get to know someone well, the possibility of sexual attraction is there.
That's half the people in this world that are going to walk down the street and not want to necessarily bang the person next to them that they've only met for 5 minutes. Why are we making this so complicated and so hard on the fucking brain?
Demisexuality is considered the halfway point between asexuality and allosexuality, those who experience sexual attraction. 9. Androsexuality.
Oh my God.
Androsexuality is a sexuality that outside of LGBT circles is not well known at all. It refers to someone who is attracted to a masculine gender presentation. This can refer to anyone of any gender, man, woman, or non-binary. 10. Gynosexuality. Gynosexuality, like androsexuality, is not well known. It refers to someone who is attracted to a feminine gender presentation. This could again refer to any individual of any gender. We hope.
I would argue that most of these are not that well known among the masses and never will be. Aside from heterosexuality, obviously, homosexuality, bisexuality, and maybe pansexuality, because they're trying to accommodate for all these trans identities in gender ideology. But beyond that, I feel like this is picking apart people's attractions and putting people into boxes and compartmentalizing and segmenting out this and that and all these things. And it's extremely confusing. Guys, are you confused? Because I am like, I I don't know that I'm confused because I see these terms and I understand what they're saying as they're saying it, but to actually have to sit there and mow over like what and who you are when you're trying to apply these terms is crazy to me. It's unnecessary. It's stupid. I don't understand whatever happened to live and let live and sort of just let people be who they are instead of slapping labels all over everything and everyone. And it's just really no wonder that we're living in a society where kids don't know what's what and they don't know how to interpret vocabulary. And they think that you can just change vocabulary because it was very well presented there that, oh, it's fluid and it's an umbrella term. And some people take it this way and some people mean it that way. And that's fine. It's as if they're trying to erase and erode gender altogether. Not trying to tinfoil hat here, but I kind of am. So this next one is what is gender identity? And this one is definitely for kids. So put on your seatbelts. This is insane.
Hi, little justice leaders. Today, we're going to explore an important topic, gender identity. Don't worry, it's simple to understand. Let's start with gender. Gender is an identity we form within ourselves and through our social and cultural interactions with other people. When you were born,
that should have been the end of the conversation right there. That should have been the end of the conversation. There should have been no more commentary. And that concludes what gender identity is. Bye-bye, kids. Like, that should have been the end.
The doctor might have decided you were either male or female. That's the sex you were assigned at birth. Most people are assigned male or female, and others may assume that means your gender will be either boy or girl.
Notice how they said assigned either male or female at birth. That is categorically, fundamentally, objectively incorrect. It is incorrect. That is not how we determine sex. It is observed at birth, number one. And number two, they're borrowing language or stealing language from the intersex community, wherein there might be a rare case where a doctor may have to assign a sex at birth because of some kind of abnormality or medical issue that occurred with that baby, making them intersex. And there's a whole bunch of different things that could fall under, but that does not have anything to do with sexuality or gender. But they pull this stuff in and this language in on purpose to justify this ideology in the first place, which is the slippery slope, which makes it very dangerous. And then they introduce it to children, which, hey, call it what you want, call me whatever you want, but I think it's straight up indoctrination and there's no reason for videos like this. But let me know in the comments what you think. We'll keep going here.
As you get older, you might feel that you are a certain gender, like boy or girl, or that you are a mix of genders, or that you don't have any gender. Any of that is okay. Nobody knows better than you do. How you feel?
No, children don't know. They don't know. This whole idea that telling a kid that they know better than anybody, but they don't. Like, you see like this huge spike and increase in detransitioners. So obviously they didn't know who they were and they were convinced of something. There's full-grown adults that struggle with just trying to figure out what this kind of thing is. So no, that's not it either. So I just like, what? No, they say that to the kid, like they give the kid the power to say, oh, you know who you are. No, we don't know who we are when we are 10. We do not know anything about gender. We are still growing and exploring and going through puberty. What in the actual fuck are they even talking about? It's ridiculous.
Feel inside about your gender is your gender identity. Let's meet some friends who will help us understand gender identity. Meet Maria. When Maria was born, the doctor said she was female. That was Maria's sex assigned at birth. Her family expected her to grow up to be a girl. When she grew up, she continued to feel like a girl. Maria's gender identity is girl, and it aligns with the female sex that they labeled her when she was born. That means Maria is cisgender.
Of all things to say that so the doctor is doing the labeling, this ideology isn't doing the labeling. Do you see what they did there? Oh my goodness. Wow, the manipulation. That's what the doctor labeled the baby. They labeled it as female. I cannot believe it. It's the little things that you pick up on in videos like this. It's the little things. Let's keep going.
Because the sex given to her at birth is aligned with the gender that she feels inside. Meet Samir. When Samir was born, the doctor said Samir was female. That was Samir's sex assigned at birth. Samir's family expected Samir to grow up to be a girl, but later, Samir knew that he was actually a boy. Samir's gender identity is boy, and it is not in alignment with the sex they labeled him when he was born. That means Samir is transgender, because the sex given to him at birth does not align with his actual gender.
No, that doesn't necessarily mean he's transgender. What it might mean is that maybe he's just kind of feminine or feels kind of feminine, or maybe he's gay. It does not necessarily mean he's transgender. They jump to that and start pulling that in as a possibility, or a probability rather. Oh my God. And the kids take this stuff as fact, by the way. Okay. It's pretty easy to convince kids of things. They believe in the Santa Claus, the Tooth Fairy. They believe in all kinds of things. They listen to adults. And this stuff looks cool and interesting. And as you're growing up, you are starting to explore your identity, so to speak. And you want to fit in at school, and you want to have friends and all that, you know? So, but this idea that a doctor, again, is labeling this child, the doctor labeled the child. I can't get over that. I'm sorry. I can't get over that they even had the audacity to say that when they're the ones, the ideology, the people teaching this ideology, they're the ones putting it on a buffet of labels for these kids to pick and choose what they are, and that labels are good. But the doctor who objectively observed the child at birth and said that's a girl and that's a boy, oh, that's just a label. That's just weird. I mean, they don't really know what they're talking about, right?
Meet Alex. When Alex was born, the doctor said Alex was a male. That was Alex's sex assigned at birth. Alex's family expected Alex to grow up to be a boy. When Alex grew up, they didn't feel like they were a boy or a girl. Alex doesn't connect with either being a boy or a girl. Alex just feels like themselves. Alex uses they/them pronouns and identifies as non-binary. Alex's gender identity is non-binary. Non-binary can mean that you are not a boy or a girl. It can mean that you feel like a mix of boy and girl, or anything in between.
Whoa, that was a lot. Non-binary can mean you're not a boy or a girl. You could feel like a mix of a boy and a girl, or anything in between. Well, if you're non-binary, that takes you out of the binary. So there's male and female, you're taken out of the binary. So I would think that it would mean that it's neutral, that you're not a boy or a girl, not a mix of both. And that's just feminine masculine. And that's fine. Like, look at me. I am a total tomboy, but I'm clearly female. And I like a lot of boy stuff. I can occasionally get down with more feminine things and wear something girly or cute. Primarily speaking, I'm more comfortable in jeans and a t-shirt. This is just feminine masculine. And it's not that complicated. And they really are shoving this in and forcing this to be something that it doesn't need to be. My God.
It means different things for different people, and that's okay. Meet Dominique. When Dominique was born, the doctors were not sure if Dominique was a boy or a girl. Dominique wasn't assigned a sex at birth because Dominique is intersex. Intersex is a word that includes a wide range of natural body differences which may or may not align with what people expect for a male or female baby. When she grew up, Dominique knew she was actually a girl. Dominique's gender identity is that she is a girl. You see, gender identity.
They throw in the intersex thing to really put a monkey wrench in the whole gender ideology thing so that you can't sort of question it. I feel like that's what they do, because when I get into debates with people that are on the far left that talk about this ideology incessantly and insist that all these things are in the realm of real when really they're rooted in feelings, they always bring up intersex every single time to try to silence me, really. And I'm like, intersex has nothing to do with this. Intersex is a completely separate thing. And I don't know who thought that was okay to yoink people in that are intersex into this conversation that revolves around ideology and mostly stuff that has to do with trans. They always use the whataboutism, what about intersex, which, by the way, is an extremely rare medical condition.
Is about how we feel on the inside. Sometimes it doesn't match what other people expect us to look like, and sometimes it does. We often think of people as either boys or girls, but some people are both, neither, or something else, and that's perfectly okay. Gender identity is about expressing who you truly are on the inside, no matter how you were born or who people thought you would be. When Samir told his friends he was actually a boy, they were super supportive. That's what friends do. They're there for each other. When Alex told their family they were non-binary, their family was supportive too. And when Dominique told her family and friends that she was a girl, they were happy and loving. But not everyone is supportive of people's gender identities, and that is wrong. All people deserve to be loved, respected, and accepted, no matter what their gender identity may be. As Little Justice leaders, it is our goal to be loving and supportive of all different people. We appreciate meeting and learning from people who are different from us. We value and care about all people, no matter their gender.
Okay, enough. So as you can see from that video, what they're doing is they're really trying to say you need to be nice to everyone, you need to be kind to everyone, you know, and you have to accept all of this and everything we're telling you, no matter what. So no matter what somebody tells you they are, you have to accept it and you have to go along with it and you have to be a part of it. And what identity is about yourself. It is not about other people, okay? And people will accept you, people will not accept you. That's all part of what life is. I've experienced that since I can remember, let alone it being revolving around something with my sexuality or gender identity or whatever. You know, people can, for your whole life, there's always going to be people that don't accept you or don't like you or don't agree with what you're doing or how you feel or what you think or your lifestyle, so to speak. And you find your tribe, you find your people. And not everybody is going to be cool with all of this. And I think the push is too far for too long. And it's hurting the LGBT community by continuing to force their way in. The original community, the community that I remember when I was younger, and the OGs that came before me, this was not a tactic that was used. They didn't use the tactic of going after kids and teaching this stuff to kids, number one. And number two, they didn't do things by force and by demand and through control tactics. They did things through consistent messaging, and it had to do with equality and equal rights, which mostly revolved around workplace rights, rights to housing, and marriage rights. So this is the last one we're going to look at, and I really am irritated by this one.
Hey there, Little Justice leaders. Today we're diving into the celebration of Pride Month, which happens in June every year. Let's talk about why we celebrate this special time full of love, history, and appreciation. Pride Month is like a giant party filled with rainbows. The rainbow flag is a big, colorful symbol that says everyone is welcome.
They forgot to say that it's a giant party full of naked people, because that's actually a thing. Wow. Okay.
Pride is all about celebrating love. It's also about being true to ourselves. Imagine a world where you can be exactly who you are, no matter what, and everyone cheers you on.
No, that's not how life works, though. Like, yes, we've been on a quest for equality for decades, and we've achieved so much in the adult space. But to tell a child or to teach a child, imagine a world where everybody loves you and everybody accepts you and yeses you to death. It isn't going to happen, and you are setting these kids up to fail.
As you already might know, families come in all shapes and sizes. Some kids have a mom and a dad, some have two moms or two dads, more than two parents, or one parent. Other families include foster parents, step-parents, grandparents, and more. Some kids might live with cousins, older siblings, or split their time between two or more homes. In the LGBTQ+ community, and for some others, many families are chosen families.
What is going on there with that flag? Is that the intersex flag that they threw in there? Is that what that is? What is that? What flag is that? Hold on.
Chosen families.
Yep, that's the intersex flag. Sorry, I just noticed these things and I'm like, symbols, stuff they're throwing in there.
Families are people that you choose to love that aren't related to you. But you know what all of these types of families have in common? Lots of love. Pride Month has a super cool history. A long time ago, some people said, hey, everyone deserves love and respect no matter who they are. They started the LGBTQ+ rights movement. The LGBTQ+ community includes people who love and experience gender in all sorts.
Do you see these mug faces here? Do you see this with these smug looks on their face, these meanies? Who wants to listen to these people? And you know what? This is an accurate representation of the trans rights activists today in cartoon form. They all look miserable, they all look mean, and they're all screaming and yelling. And they are making demands, pushing their way in, harassing people, assaulting people. It's insane. I think that is funny as hell that they actually put that as a cartoon. I mean, who wants to deal with people like this?
Sorts of ways. And the community is made up of many groups of people with various orientations and gender identities. The movement is a group of people, both from the LGBTQ+ community and allies of the community, fighting for everybody to thrive. And we celebrate the LGBTQ+ community during Pride Month. We learn about our differences and the things that make each of us special. Pride Month is important because it reminds us that everyone deserves love, acceptance, and respect. By celebrating Pride, we make sure all people have their voices heard and everyone feels valued. Thanks for joining the Pride Month celebration, Little Justice Leaders.
Little justice leaders, I can't get over that. Social justice warriors, little justice leaders. Like, you see how they are indoctrinating them from a young age to grow up to be activists. And the activism is what's killing this community slowly, as we know. So guys, let me know in the comments what you think about these videos, about them being geared towards children, all this mixed up mess of terminology. And that first video that I showed you, by the way, there are a lot more terms than just the ones that they listed. It's crazy, and kids need to just be kids and not even think about this stuff until they're older. So guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.